Hey everyone, Chris Sawyer here. The Varietal Show is back. I am here with my great friend Josh Bergström, and here I am in Oregon, Willamette Valley. We're actually here listening to Karen McNeil talk about the third release of her book, The Wine Bible. And Josh and I have been friends for a long time, like back since the 90s when I started working with WineX magazine back in the old days. Remember that, Josh? Some crazy stuff. You know, Josh is one of my heroes of Willamette Valley. There's a lot of heroes here, believe me. But you know, he's a great friend of mine who I've followed since the beginning when he really got into it in the late '90s. And I really wanted him to tell us a little bit about, you know, how's this vintage. You know, for he just finished. What is it? 4 days ago.
Yeah.
4 days ago, and he just won another award, which is Top 100 for wine and spirits. And I felt like you being there once again. It's always a great thing to see you there. I was there in San Francisco for the awards ceremony, and you know, just it's just wonderful to see you here. And tell us a little bit about this 2022 vintage and what it was like.
Yeah, it was amazing to be nominated for our 11th Top 100 by Wine and Spirits. That was amazing. And yeah, this vintage has been nothing but a roller coaster. So early spring frost, that was crazy. One of the latest historical frosts of all time hit us mid-April with about 25 degrees Fahrenheit for about 6 hours. So fans would not have worked. All of that. There was no inversion layer. We lost 70% of our Chardonnay.
Oh
And
my
we
God!
lost.
And that's what we're drinking right now, you guys.
We
So
lost
obviously, it's a big deal.
a lot of our precious Chardonnay, and Pinot Noir recovered, thankfully. It was a weird vintage. I would call this a vintage of extremes.
Back just a teeny
Yeah,
bit.
so a vintage of extremes where we had that frost, and then we had really cold, wet weather we couldn't get into the vineyards with tractors, and then all of a sudden it was hot, and it was dry, and then we had like almost 3.5 months of 80, 85 degree weather, which we call ourselves a cool climate.
Yeah.
We're north of the 45th parallel, but this is the vintage that it's not to our climate, but it's the vintage we needed.
Yeah.
It's the vintage we needed, and we ripened all of the Pinot Noir and the Chardonnay perfectly.
Yeah. Here we've got the 2019 vintage right here. This is a great Chardonnay. This Sigrid. Tell us a little bit about the name. This is your family. This is the family member from your household. Believe me, when you read family members' names on wine lists, you got a good chance of you're going to buy that because there's no doubt that it's perfect.
Yeah, we named it after my grandmother for two reasons. One, she was a frail, small, very elegant woman working in a very hard climate, very hard lifestyle. So that dichotomy of elegance and power really sums up Chardonnay and my grandmother. And the second reason is when you name a wine after your grandmother, you cannot mess it up.
No, you cannot mess that stuff
It's
up,
got to
you
be
guys.
the best wine every single year. Sigrid is our best barrel selection of our estates from the Chehalem Mountains, from the Ribbon Ridge, and the Dundee Hills. We're looking for that tension, that vibrancy, that salinity, that minerality, and that texture.
It's all there, and this is an amazing wine. Sitting here sipping it. I mean, there's peaches, there's fruit tree bits in here. There's everything. There's minerality in here. There's Oregon inside this glass.
Well, some people think, minerality with Chardonnay, does that mean limestone, Kimmeridgian, Chablis? Yeah, sure, but in Oregon it means 60 million year old sandstone soil. So these are sandy, old ocean uplifts, as well as basalt flows 20 million years old. You have all the minerality you need.
Yeah. You know, Eric Asimov and I were there at one dinner that you guys did, and it was really based on Chardonnay. And Eric Asimov from the New York Times, really great writer. We had an amazing experience where, you guys were really honest with us. You could try to be Burgundy, and you can grow the same grapes, and you can try to be that. But I think it was when you guys really sat down and you guys came together as a team, and you said, not just you, like Brickhouse and all these other great producers that said, you know what, we are who we are. We are Willamette Valley, and we're going to make the best wines we possibly can. And we have things that they don't have there.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, when I was younger, I was like, who do I copy?
Yeah.
As stylistically,
Yeah.
Do I make Ravenot this year?
Yeah.
Do I make, Aubert this year? Who do I copy? And then we realized, why? Why? We are a completely different climate. So why don't we just make Willamettian Chardonnays?
Yeah.
And so
Willamettian,
Willamettian Chardonnay.
you heard it here.
It's not Burgundian. It's not Californian. It's Willamettian.
Hashtag Willamettian.
Hashtag Willamettian.
You got to figure out how to spell that, you guys.
And
Don't
so
worry
it's
about it.
all
You
about
can.
capturing the natural acidity without the fat, without the overt austerity or the overt opulence. We're right in the middle.
You're right in the middle. And you do such a great job on it. And here we are with Karen McNeil, talking about her third release of her amazing book. And we're here celebrating not just her and her accomplishments with this book, but we're celebrating Willamette Valley and the great people in there, Domaine Duran, Tony Soder, great David Adelstein, one of the legends of the whole entire area, and the man who I give all credit, and you guys hear it all the time from me, David Adelstein was the one that said, we need to make Willamette Valley this big instead of this big. And he was right. And then we find all these sub-appellations, and that's exactly what we just tasted in that Chardonnay.
Yeah, David Adelstein is the in my mind true pioneer of Oregon winemaking, and one of my best friends and neighbors, and Karen McNeil bringing it on her third edition. Really bringing it all to light. Love it.
I love it. I love it too. So speaking of Pinot Noir, Willamette Valley remind you of Pinot Noir? Anyone? We got a big Magnum here that we're sharing inside Josh's with all these people that have come to this event. It's amazing, and let's pour a little bit of that. Tell us a little bit about this.
Cumberland Reserve. So this is a wine we've been making longer than any other wine that we've ever made, since 2001. So we're now 22 vintages into this wine. And the reason for this wine is Willamette Valley Pinot Noir. 4 words. Very powerful words. They used to be.
Willamette Valley Pinot Noir. Do you guys
Willamette
get
Valley Pinot Noir. And yet, all of a sudden, the entry level is Willamette Valley Pinot Noir, and it's out to market early, and it's less expensive, and all of a sudden, it's like the cash cow to make wine, to make money for the other wines, and I'm thinking, no, Willamette Valley Pinot Noir, the regional, the Normale, should be the most important statement that we make. And so Cumberland Reserve has always been the most important statement. This is my business card wine. This is the wine that takes me 6 months of tasting hundreds of barrels to make the perfect wine that wraps up the Willamette Valley as a macro view of what are we looking at in the Willamette Valley? We're looking at fresh fruit. We're looking at spice. We're looking at earthiness, but not like barnyard earthiness. We're looking at that fresh kind of like mushroomy loaminess. That's the triumvirate of Willamette Valley Pinot Noir for me. So those are the barrels that we're looking for. Yeah. And so Willamette Valley Pinot Noir for me is like, it's our best foot forward. And so this is the business card wine. It's the first wine we make before the single vineyard wines. Right. And we bottle it after the single vineyard wines. So it's a true reserve.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I just love it. A great vintage, once again, the 2019. Very good vintage for you guys.
Yeah.
Coming off the 18, which was a very good one too. And we can go back, and actually 3 in a row that were kind of strange is that 14, 15, 16, which were very, very hot vintages. And here, I mean, I live in California. Russian River is where I was basically born and raised. It's consistency down there. Here, it's a risk, and with great rewards. And what I've really learned about you guys is you can adapt to any situation. You've got the tools, you've got the skills that will still be making the best wines ever, each year. And that's what they aim for at all times.
Yeah. And
I feel like 2019 was a good vintage for you.
Absolutely.
That really like in this Magnum, it's showing well right now. It's speaking out to us, and I feel like that's like everyone in there that we're going to go back in and visit. They're going to be having the time of their lives with all these wines that are flowing around. It's just great to have you back on the show and just to be with you, my friend. It's great stuff. Cheers to this, and cheers to Willamette Valley. Hope you guys are having fun, and thanks once again for watching the Varietal Show, and we will be back again next week, of course. Cheers. Cheers.